Welcome back to another episode of the Right Hand Revolution. And today is another interview episode with one of my students, Allison, and I cannot wait for you to hear her story. Her Instagram post a little while ago kind of went a little bit viral for me, I will say, where Allison was sharing in the video that she had just landed her first client ever. Her first client that she landed was an absolute dream client. And not only was she a dream client, but she offered to pay Allison a very large amount of money as a first-time virtual assistant. So I'm really excited to have her share sort of her perspective and her side of that story, and also share a little bit more about her personal journey as well, because Allison is a little bit different than I would say most of the clients that I work with personally in the program. A lot of my clients come from backgrounds in corporate jobs where they have worked for years and years, potentially at one sort of company. And that wasn't really the case for Allison. And I think it's really important for you to hear her story, because if you're out there right now and you're thinking, I don't have marketing experience, or I don't have operations experience, like, can I make this happen for myself? I really want, first, yes, you absolutely can. And I want you to just hear Allison's story, because I know it's just going to resonate with you so much and give you so much hope and excitement. And I think it's going to empower you a little bit too, to really go for what you know that you deserve, like exactly like Allison did. Okay, so welcome, Allison. So before we get into all the questions and our conversation, I'm really excited. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're currently located, and then also how many clients you currently have at the moment.
Hello, so I'm Allison. I am in Wasaga Beach, Ontario in Canada, and it is just the best here. We live on like the world's longest freshwater beach, and it is just a dream. And yeah, currently client-wise, I recently offboarded a client that just was not vibing with what I wanted. So currently have one client kind of doing piecework. But yeah, like mostly right now I have one really full-time client and hoping to expand that in the future though.
Okay, cool. Okay, so just to be clear for everybody, so Allison has one like large client, and then she also has one small client that she does sort of like project work here and there for. So it's not consistent. Well, it's semi-consistent, but it's not, bringing in like thousands of dollars every single month recurring from that client, which I will say is pretty normal for somebody who does have one larger client. Like if we're thinking of your time in terms of a pie, which we really like to do inside of the program. Right now, Allison's largest client is probably taking up like 75% maybe of that pie, yeah. I would say, maybe sometimes even more, because her business is in a very big growth. We could talk about that later. Growth period. And then that other client is kind of just to top things off. And how long have you been working as a virtual assistant? Do you remember when you landed your first client? When was that?
Okay, so like my journey, I feel like was a little bit different. So I feel like I landed, again, like same kind of piecework project vibe. Mm-hmm. That client, and it was only a couple hours a week, but I started off with that, and I wanted to say that was, a couple months last year, like early spring, summer. And then come August, I onboarded another new client, which was very exciting. Definitely a smaller client, like only a couple hours a day, like maybe 2.5 hours a day, was doing that. And we started that in August of last year. And then I always say I somehow landed my dream client, but I landed my dream client because I put a lot of work in, and I landed her, and we started working in October last year. So it's almost been a full year of working with my dream client.
Wow. Yeah. I can't believe that time has gone by so fast. Like I remember when you landed that client like it was yesterday, literally. So let's not get too into that yet, because we are definitely going to get into that a little bit later. But I want to give everybody kind of an idea of how you started and where you kind of came from. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about, so let's go back to, maybe 2 years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about what life really looked like for you before you decided that you wanted to start your VA business? What were you doing for work? What was your sort of current status?
Yeah, so I have always had a very hectic work life. I am used to being, the breadwinner in my family, and, I feel very relied on to be that person. So instead of, having one job, a lot of the time I was having 2 jobs, 3 jobs. And I think at most I had 4 at one point in time, which was insane because I also have kids. So while juggling, 4 jobs and the kids, and it was just like, I also have a chronic illness and the jobs I was doing are very physically demanding. Well, I honestly, I was cleaning people's houses, and I worked for, I think, 3 different companies at the time and doing that work in the same day. And it was just like, I was working 12-hour days, and then I would get home and I would eat and then sleep. That is all I had the space for. And I was tired of it. It was just like, my kids are getting older. My kids now are almost 13 and 8. And it was like, I feel like I've spent years working these insane hours, these insane jobs just to make everything work. But they were never jobs that I ever felt valued in. And then I even the cleaning felt good for a while, especially depending on the people I was cleaning for. It was it's I know you need this and this makes me feel good. Yeah. But it's but I don't feel good. And the effort I was putting in and the money I was seeing on paychecks, I was working almost 80 hours a week and barely breaking, I would say $1,200 Canadian every 2 weeks, which was insane to me because I was killing myself for these jobs. So I switched to something more creative, which again made me feel good and being oh, I love this. I could be creative, I'm free. But then it was a business that wasn't really going anywhere, and I was pouring my whole heart into it, and they didn't want that.
What was the business?
It was a ceramic art studio. So I loved it. I got to hand pour pottery and make these beautiful pieces, but it was I was getting paid minimum wage, and normally they hired teenage students, and I am not a teenager. By any means. Surprise! I'm not 19. But it was one of those things where it's just I was the oldest staff member there compared to the owners, and I was treated like a teenager, and I poured so much of myself into their business and tried to be helpful and took my experiences and was this, we should do this. Oh, we can't do that. And it was even to the point where it was you don't have to pay me. I have nothing to do today. Let me do something. Let me create some posts. Let me do that. No, we're not paying you for that. It's I don't want to be paid. I want to do something that isn't just sitting here, because it's a ceramic studio. So once the 4 jobs are done, that's it. And it was most of the time I was sitting there, cool, I was getting paid, but I was sitting there to watch YouTube videos and then being crapped on for things that were outside of my control that I kept bringing up and no one wanted to listen to. So
right. And I think that experience is a very universal experience where, especially as, women who really care about what we're doing. And like you said, even though you weren't getting paid for it, you still wanted to do it. And that was just the kind of person that you are. And I think that most of I would say actually all of my students are that way. And I would assume that most of the women that are listening to this podcast are also that exact same way as well, where we're the people that do go above and beyond. And we're not even necessarily looking all the time for more money. Of course, we need more money and more money is great, but it's just the recognition. So when you were bringing these ideas to this business, because I know that you, like you said, it was very creative. You loved, kind of what you were doing and teaching the classes and all of that. It sounds really fun actually to do. But how did it feel when you brought those new ideas to the business? And these were all ideas that would have helped grow the business too. These weren't just let me sweep the floor. It was let's work on your Instagram presence and let's do this and let's do that. How did it feel to be sort of dismissed or just have those ideas ignored all the time?
I feel it really sucked, mostly because well, at the time, I didn't have a lot of experience doing it, but they were also doing nothing. So in my mindset, I was it doesn't really matter what I do, it's still going to be better. And I had been looking into different ways of doing things, and just they would make you feel so valued in like a friendship way. And like that's why I started working with them, is because I had painted there and done classes there for years with them. And then so it was like a friendly thing. It was like, oh, we'd love to have you here. That's awesome. So then when I brought up those ideas, and then for them to just be like, basically, they didn't say this, but to be like, you're here to be seen, not heard. Right. And it was just like, it's like, but is that not why you hired me? Is to like support your business, not be a teenage student who like needs their hand held walking through every part of the job today. Like, I'm like, I've done everything on our list and I've been here for 30 minutes and I'm here for 8 more hours. And it's just like, but you don't want me just sitting here. So here are things I could be doing instead of just sitting here. And then it's like, no, like, thanks for the idea, but like, we just don't have capacity or money to deal with that. And it was just like, I was giving it away for free at that point. I'm like, let me do something. I'm like, because I can do it. And like, you know, I'm artsy. Like, you know, I can create these things. And then like, they would post things and there'd be like spelling mistakes or like obviously posted by ChatGPT. And it's like, let's just like take these out. And like, and it was just like, we like don't care. Like up until the, like they never said shut up, but there were numerous days where they were very much like, can you just stop begging us to do things? Like, go clean the glass bottle wall. And it's just like, I deserve more than cleaning a wall full of bottles. Like,
And you know, it's interesting because I'm hearing you say this, and obviously this happens so much in sort of more traditional jobs, but this actually happens too in your virtual, not in Allison's virtual assistant business, obviously, because, you know, she's gone through the program and she knows how to do this properly. But a lot of new virtual assistants kind of get into relationships that are very similar to what you're describing, where, you know, they take a client and that client only wants to pay them, you know, $18 an hour, whatever it is. But they take them anyway because maybe they're nice and they like what they're doing. And then they get into the business and they see all of these different areas where they can support the business owner and they try to voice it. And those ideas that they have are just not heard. And if you are a virtual assistant right now listening to this podcast episode, and maybe one of the reasons you're listening to The Right Hand Revolution is because you want to try to find better clients, I'm just telling you right now that it's not you that's the problem. And like, even I would say to Allison, even in this job, right? Like, it's not you that's the problem. It's the clients that you're working for. And that's why it's so important to be really intentional about the kind of clients that you do work with when you are starting your VA business. Because if you work with a client that's like this, or you're having this similar experience right now, a lot of the time people just end up quitting their VA business altogether and going back to a 9-to-5 job because they don't realize that there is another way, or that all people aren't like this, right? All clients aren't like this. So, okay, so I'm feeling like, yeah, there was obviously a lot going on there. And I think that you had, you know, really great ideas. And even for a while Allison was in the program, she was still, you know, working that job. And, you know, she would come to our group mentoring calls and she would talk about her experiences at the studio and tell us about all these great, amazing ideas she had. And they just were not accepting of any of them, which honestly is their loss, because their business would probably be substantially more successful right now. I bet you if they knew what you were doing now and what you've helped your clients achieve, they would be kicking themselves. I can pretty much guarantee you on that. So, okay, so Allison was in this place where she was doing kind of a lot of, I don't want to say odd jobs, but they were like, you know, a few hours in this job, and then she would go at night and do the pottery studio, and it was just kind of that lifestyle, right? And like she said, you know, she has 2 kids, and there was a lot going on for her at that time as well. But some point, Allison reached out to me and wanted to join the VA Accelerator. And this was actually, do you want to tell the story? Do you want to tell the story of your experience in us working together?
You tell it. It's funnier when you tell it.
All right. So Allison reached out to me. I'm going to say if you landed your client last October, I think that means that you joined the VA Accelerator the second time, maybe April or May.
No, I think I joined in January.
In January.
Okay. January or February. And then landing my dream client took some months.
Took till October.
Hard work.
Right.
Yes.
And, oh, but yes, you had the other client before that. Okay. I'm just looking at my calendar on the wall, everybody. Okay. So let's say last January. So January 2024. No, five? No. Okay, wait, now I have all my dates mixed up. 2024. Okay. January 2024. Around then, Allison joined the VA Accelerator. But funny story, Allison actually joined the VA Accelerator a year before that. Probably in January 2023, let's say, estimate.
Probably 2 years before that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
really?
I think it was about 2 years. Like 2022, wow. I would say.
2022?
I think so.
Whoa, okay, wow. This is a bigger celebration than I thought then. So Allison reached out to me in January 2022 and essentially was like, Rebecca, I really want to join the program. And I was like, okay, great. Let's get you into the program here. And then Allison joined the program. And for the first like month and a bit, everything was going great, right? And I remember getting Allison's workbooks and, you know, her being with other students, coming to group mentoring calls, participating in the program, which is my expectation, right? If you're going to join my program, please participate. Like, just do it, you know?
Just do it.
Don't be that person that doesn't. So Allison was participating. Everything was great. And then all of a sudden, Allison pretty much dropped off the face of the earth and completely ghosted me and ghosted everybody in the program. Everybody's like, where's Allison? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to reach out to her, but she's just not getting back to me. And then I think, you know, after maybe a few weeks, I think you messaged me and just like, you know, I just can't do this right now. I just can't do this right now. I want to do it, but I just can't do this right now. Very high level, because I don't want to get too deep into this. At that time, when you had to take a step back from the program, like, how are you feeling in that moment?
I think the part of the program that got me, I felt like, okay, this is easy. Like, let's fill in the blanks. I can do this. And then there's a section on mind frame, like your mental mindset. Thank you. And I had gone through something extremely traumatic and COVID happened and just kind of forgot about it. Mm-hmm. Normal people do and disassociate from nonsense when you don't want to deal with things. So I think once we hit the mindset stuff and I actually had to like think, it just brought up so much and it was just like my whole, like it was a full body no. It was like nope. And then I would like try to do it and just like give bullshit answers and be like surface level, and then you were just like this isn't that's not enough, and it's like you need to like think about it. It's like I don't want to think about it,
right? Yeah.
And I gave up. I straight up was just like, this is not for me. I'm never going to be able to do this. Like, let me go to my mundane jobs where no one bothers me. There's 3 steps and I can do it. And that's where I left it the first time we did it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that a lot of people, when they join my program, are very surprised, I think, at the depth of the mindset work that we do in the very first week of the program. I think a lot of people talk a big game when it comes to mindset, and they, you know, I've seen other, you know, VA coaches talk about, you need to know your why, and it's like, that doesn't even matter. Like, it does on some, you need to know why you're doing what you're doing, but there's deeper work that needs to be done. And I think that a lot of women are surprised that we go as deep as we go. And for some women, I would say at least 50% of the women that come into the program, they have never done anything like this before. They've never taken time to even think through some of these things that we talk about. So what we talk about in Mindset Week really is about how to identify your inner critic and the others' thoughts, other people's voices that come into your mind. And so often some women come in and they're like, oh, I don't have an inner critic. It's just me. Or I don't have others' thoughts. It's just my own voice. And I'm like, okay, then we need to do some work.
Lies.
And that's not what I say, but that is what I say. Because at the end of the day, the number one reason why people do not succeed in business is because of their mindset. And again, it's not a mindset like, oh, they don't have the right attitude. right? Like, that is not what we're talking about here. It goes so much deeper. It goes back to pretty much every experience that you've ever had in your entire life and how it's shaped who you are today, and how we actually need to start rewiring those sort of like neural pathways in your mind so that when you go into your business and maybe you have had past trauma, like for example, you know, a few podcast episodes ago, I talked to Sarah, and, you know, Sarah had a child and he unfortunately, you know, passed away. And she went through this very big grief period, right? And she was working on herself, of course, during that time too. But if she had not have handled that in the same way that you know, didn't handle it at that exact moment, it's constantly going to stop you from getting everything that you want. And do you feel like that's something that you can see clearly now, how that does stop you from getting everything you want? Because I'm sure that there are some women out there that might be listening to this being like, does it really, Rebecca? Can't I just ignore it? What do you think about that?
It is so important. And like between the mindset work that I've done with you in the last year and then the mindset work I've been doing with my like dream client and just like working through all of that, it's just like there used to be days where like something happened and I would spiral for weeks and like, nope, I'm not doing that. No, I can't do that. And now it's like, I guess before, like, I never told myself it was okay to be like that. But now it's like, okay, I can do that. But a 6-week spiral is helping no one. And it's not helping me. Right. It's not helping my business. It's not helping my family. So now I do, like, I call them my mini Tasmanian devil moments, where I'm allowed to spiral for 15 minutes. I can spiral for 15 minutes. I can be irrational. I can freak out. I can do whatever I want. But when that 15 minutes is over, it is like,
yeah,
Allison is back. The Tasmanian devil has left. Now let's logically think about this. And like, as you know, this is a huge thing for me and like a big thing that I've been working on. And it's just like, yeah, like when I started, it was just like, the tiniest thing could happen and it was just like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this. Like I should just go back to what's easy. Like, why would I put this effort in when like someone's still paying me over here to do nothing? Like, why would I want to put the effort in? But yeah, like that mind shift change like is so important. And it is a lot more than just like think happy thoughts. Like, yeah, I can do this. Like, it is heavy, but I'm so glad I worked through it because, like, here I am now. And it's like, and I'm better in my business for it. I'm better as a person for it. And
so to that point, how you just said, like, you know, why would I work on this business when I already have somebody else paying me over here? Why did you? Because
I was done just feeling like crap about everything I did. Because, like, not necessarily that I felt crap about what I was doing, because, like, I was doing like residential cleans for like old people. And it's like, and I loved that. Like I had the communication, like it felt good. But then I would get my paycheck and be like, I know what I did in that house. Right. And it is worth more than the $20 you paid me. And it was just like, yeah, I guess it was like a mix of two things at the same time. I was leaning more into like my self-worth and being like, I deserve more than this. And then also looking at it from like a career and a financial point being like, I deserve more than this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think both of those things at the same time, like I feel like they, this time around, clicked at the exact same time. And it was just like ready to flip tables. Like I was so done. And it's like, I deserve more. I deserve more than this. I deserve to feel better. I deserve to be paid more. Like, and I'm not a very surface level employee. I never have been. I am very much
like
you get 100% balls to the wall. Like, like this is me. And I deserved to be treated that way. And I deserved to be paid for that, honestly. Like I really did.
Sure. Yeah. So. Yeah. That's great. I felt the exact same way. And something else before you just kind of move on to when Allison came back that I want to just say too is that, you know, as Allison mentioned, she did go through a very, very, very traumatic experience. And I have a lot of women in the program who have been in very traumatic situations. I'm not comparing anybody, but they're just, everybody has a story, right? Everybody has a story. Everybody has some experiences. But what I will say also to that, because I know Rebecca back maybe 10 years ago, Okay. If I would have been listening to this podcast at the time, in my mind, hearing us talk about this, I probably would have been thinking, that's not going to be my problem because I haven't had any traumatic experiences. So my mindset's good. Right? My mindset's great. Like, okay, you got your trauma, like, good luck for you. I'm good though. Like, I don't have that. And some women that come into my programs, I know that they are me 10 years ago, right? Like, I can see them very clearly. And something I will say is that mindset, everybody has mindset challenges. There is not a single person in this universe who does not have mindset challenges, especially when they're building their business. And they just might look different for you, right? So I know for me, my biggest sort of like mindset challenge was really around overcoming this idea that everything I do has to be perfect, this perfectionism. And because I had this sort of perfectionism and wanting to get every single thing right, I sometimes would like miss deadlines with my clients, or if I didn't miss the deadline, I would stay up like all night. And even though they were paying me, let's say for 4 hours worth of work, I did 10 hours worth of work to get it done and perfect exactly how I wanted it. But I would only charge them for the 4 hours, right? And then I would be resenting the client, even though it was not their fault. It was 100% my fault. So, and all of that, the reason why I was doing that was because of my mindset. Okay. So everything that you are doing or not doing is coming from your mind. Everything you think, everything that you feel, every problem that you sort of bring into your life and take on as your own, every challenge that you face in your business, all comes back. The success and getting over those things, or getting through them, maybe not getting over them, but getting through them, comes down to your mindset. And if you don't have that mindset foundation, if you don't actually know, the first thing that we do in the VA Accelerator is just get an understanding of where actually is your mindset right now. Right? And that's what Allison was saying, was she was kind of blocking out where her mind was, right? She was just kind of like living, okay, wake up, go to work, not think about it. And when we got to that point in the program where we have to sort of take a moment, sit in silence and confront, where are we actually in our life right now? What are the things that we used to love that we're not doing? What are the voices that tell us like why we can't do things or why we can do things? What are they saying to us? When you get to that point, it can be really, really hard, especially when you've gone through harder things. And even if you haven't gone through hard things, or everybody's gone through some version of something hard, right? But maybe not some extreme trauma, there's still things, okay? There's still things. So I just want to make that like very, very, very clear that, this happens for every single person. Every single person. Okay. So Allison had this ghosting moment. Okay. And then in January 2024, we got the date right. Okay. January 2024, Allison reaches back out to me. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little skeptical. Okay. At this point, because in my experience of working with women for years now, you either do it or you don't most of the time. Right? So when Allison came back to me, I said to her, I want to support you. Like, I really do. I really do. But why is now any different? Right? Like, if you're coming back into the program, you're taking up a spot for another woman could potentially be taking, right? And, last time, not only did you not continue in the program, but you also kind of ghosted me. So it was like there was a communication breakdown there too, which is also a little bit of like a red flag for me, right? And I was a little bit skeptical. Of course, I wanted to help and do all that, but I just wanted to know, what was the difference? How was this going to be different this time? And if something did happen, how are you going to communicate about it? And I feel like, did you feel that sort of hesitancy from me when you reached back out to me?
I was like, when I messaged you, I was like, she's just gonna say no, it's fine, like, whatever, like.
Yeah.
I was like, I get it though. Like, I understood, like, I knew that I left in not a great way. I knew that I stopped communicating. Like, I got it. I knew it. But it was also just like, please?
Yeah.
Please?
I think for me, the fact that you had the courage to reach back out to me again said a lot about the entire situation. I think that 99.9% of people wouldn't have ever reached back out to me again, right? Like, in full transparency, because everybody knows here I'm about full transparency. I have women who join the VA Accelerator, don't show up for a single call, don't actually participate in it, and I never hear from them again. And it's like the weirdest thing to me because I could never imagine doing that. But I'm sure a lot of it comes down to they are disappointed in themselves. They're disappointed in me. Maybe they got off track in the first week and now they feel bad. And again, all of that's mindset, ladies. Okay. All of that is mindset. And, I do my best to try to, engage them. But aside from showing up at your door and knocking on your front door and hunting you down, there's only so much I can do. Right. So when Allison reached back out, I was definitely shocked, and I was a little bit skeptical because I was just like, I just wondering how are things going to be different this time. But I did really, really commend just the courage. And because she had that courage, I definitely, and I would say just generally, am always open to people's proposals and, things that they want to suggest to me. So in that moment, I guess what sort of gave you that courage to reach back out to me again?
I feel like there were a couple things. I don't exactly remember what was going on in my life at that point, but I feel like I was sick of whatever jobs I was working and just like being treated like garbage, and just knew I was made for more than working at a shitty pottery studio for teenagers, who didn't actually care about, if I had just left, and I mean, I proved this point because I just left and that was it, that was fine. And it's just but it was weird because I left and there was no bad feelings. They were like, okay, well, we'll see you here the next time you paint. And I was just like, you guys are all really weird, but okay.
Weird, yeah,
but
that's a weird situation.
The other thing was, after I had gone through a fair amount of the first, I wouldn't even say a fair amount, a couple weeks of it, once I hit the mindset, I knew going into that mindset piece that was going to be hard. And you tell all of us, hey, this part's coming up, it's pretty rocky, and you're gonna hit a valley of despair going through it, and that's just the way life is, but we're gonna climb you up the other side. Well, I went in and did not
stayed down in the
there
valley
was
of despair
quicksand at the bottom of the valley of despair, and I was sucked in. And I feel like in the 2-year break, it's just my brain knew what was coming. I was like, okay, if I take this on, I know I'm gonna have to work harder, and I know I'm gonna have to go in deep. And I think jumping into it the first time felt like I was using you to rescue me, whereas jumping in the second time, it was me rescuing me at that point. It was just I'm sick of this.
Love
I am doing this time. I brought a piece of board, so when I got to the Valley of Despair, I could walk across the quicksand. I came up the other side. I was prepared. I packed my bag and was prepared to get through it, and I did get through it, and I feel like I wasn't even behind in that part, which felt really good. And it was just I felt like before it was a lot of avoidance and just well, I don't want to think about this. I've been actively trying to not think about any of these things and just, this is a job. It is not my life. And then it took over my life, and then was am I going to let this job be my life, or am I going to create a life that I'm happy in? And I think that was a big thing going in the second time. And then again, felt more prepared for the aggressive self-holding that I needed to be doing. And once you get through that little valley with quicksand, it was just smooth sailing after that. I was just oh, I was okay, I did it. I was I'm through it. It's it's only up from now. So
for sure,
that's what it felt like.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to put it. And I love that you called that out, that sort of the first time you felt like you were looking for me to save you, and the second time you came in saving yourself. And I think that literally, I could not have said that better myself. That was just so good, because I see so many women, I talk to so many women on Instagram, and I can pretty much tell when they are looking for somebody to save them in a way. And, sometimes, again, like I said, sometimes it's not as sort of deep as what Allison's talking about. Sometimes it's just, I want to get out of this job, and Rebecca knows how. She's going to get me out, right? Rebecca's going to get me out. And you cannot have that mindset in business. Yes, of course, I'm going to help you. But you have to dig yourself out, right? Like Allison saying, when she got into that valley of despair, sure, I had been through the valley of despair. I was like, here we go. Here's the route. Here's all the snacks you need. Bring a board. Bring this. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to help you. I'm going to stand at the valley of despair. I'm going to throw down a rope ladder. But you have to be the one to climb it. Right? You have to be the one to climb it. And that is the difference between somebody who builds a successful business and somebody who doesn't. If you are looking to build a successful business and you want support in building that business, which is the smartest thing that you can do, you have to remember that you need to take radical responsibility for your own results. And again, that does not mean that your mentor shouldn't be helping you and shouldn't be guiding you through it, but your mentor is not going to do the work for you. They are there to give you the tools. They are there to give you the resources, the feedback, the strategy, sure, some support, give you a little push once in a while. But at the end of the day, you have to be the one driving yourself forward. That is how you're going to be successful. That's great that you sort of discovered that. Now, when we reconnected, you went through the full process again. So for those of you who are listening that don't know too much about the VA Accelerator, I only accept a certain amount of women in the program because I can only help so many people at one time, right? Like I only have a certain capacity, and it kind of depends on where people are at, right? Like if I have a lot of women coming in that were kind of at Allison's phase who had gone through some like trauma, and I ask all of this before we even get into the program together to kind of get a baseline. Sometimes I won't take as many because I know there's going to be sort of more intensive support potentially needed, right? But Allison went through that interview process again, and she started from day one, from scratch, literally went right back. She didn't pick up where she left off. Nope, that was not happening. She needed to start over again at the beginning. And that's exactly what she did. So let's fast forward a few months. So I know that you had said, it took you a while to land, your dream client. You did land another client before that who was fine, not an ideal client in a few different ways for different reasons. We could talk about that in a second. But you landed that client, I think, in August, you said, right?
Yes, that client, yeah.
So from January to July, why do you think that you didn't land a client? So actually, also, let me just make this clear. So Allison joined the VA Accelerator program in January. Because of the time she joined in January, I believe you technically didn't end in the VA Accelerator until April. And then she came into VA 365, which is my year-long program for women who are, fully committed, fully serious to becoming, CEO and creating a life of their own design with their VA business. Most women land their first client within the first 3 months. Not trying to compare you to anything, but I just want to give everybody a baseline. Why do you feel like you didn't land a client in that sort of 90-day VA Accelerator timeline?
I feel like there are a couple different reasons. I feel like during that time, I was still giving myself a lot of time to the jobs that I didn't like. And I honestly partly probably made excuses for myself, was like, I don't have time. Like by the time I do an 8-hour shift and I come in and do an hour on here and then like work through the program and then get the kids into bed, it's like, I am tired and I don't want to scroll and look for clients. And I feel like that was a mindset for a while, and then switched it over. And then another big mindset thing for me, or maybe not even mindset, but just like a change in the way I saw businesses, was I feel like I made it harder for myself than anyone else ever does. But like, I struggled to figure out what an online business was. And it was just like, I remember I was like going through these lists. I'm like, I want to work with her and I want to work with her. And I would send them to you and you would just be like, we're not doing this. You're just like, none of those are online businesses. I'm like, but they have an online presence. And it was just like, that's not what an online business is. And so I feel like there was like a month of me trying to be like, what about her? What about them? And it was just like, we're still going in the wrong way. And then I remember one time, like, you and I talked and it was just like, okay, like, here is just a giant list of things. Because my thing was like, I didn't even know what to look up. Right. And it's just like, and you can Google online businesses and like, it doesn't help.
No.
It doesn't help at all.
No, don't
do it.
So
I felt like I was lost in this like vortex of like, are they good? Oh no, they're not good. Yes, they're good. Oh no, they're not. Oh, maybe. And then I feel like that kind of got me a little caught up. And then there was some people that I was seeing and started to make, soft connections with. And I had one lady get on a call with me and, You know, it sounded great. We were vibing. Everything was awesome. And she's like, you sound amazing. And we got off the call. And then she emailed me and she's like, oh, but I don't have any money to pay you. And then I was like, then I don't have any time to work with you. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I was like, but then it was hard, right? Because part of me was like, well, like, I'm a new VA. Maybe I need the experience. Maybe I should work with her for free and like take on these projects so then I can like build this portfolio. And you were just like, you don't need that. Don't do that. So we kiboshed that quickly. That ended. And it was, it started to twist into like less about like, who do I want to work with, to, I remember we had a conversation one time and it was like, what do you like? Like, what are you into? Not like, what do you see you want to work with? And I think that was a big moment for me, because then it was just like, oh, like anything? And I was just like, okay. And then it was just like, let's see here. And then we started to get into a different side of Instagram that I had not explored, and then was like finding all these people, and it was like, oh my God, what about them? What about them? What about them? And it was just like, those are online businesses. It's like, sweet.
Right.
And then the reason I think it took so long, well, I mean, that's a whole other story, but the reason it took me so long to get my dream client was, I was doing the soft connections, and then every time we went to go book a call, I was going away on vacation for a week. Okay, let's push it for a week. And then that was May all of a sudden. So end of May came. Okay, hey, I'm back. Can we book a thing? Oh, well, now I'm going on vacation for a week. Okay, so let's push it another week. Come back. I've been away on vacation for a week. Now I have to catch up. Like, let's try again. And it was just like, it was a lot of follow-up. And then this is the funny part, is she had messaged me.
Wait. Don't give it away yet.
Okay.
This episode is a lot of cliffhangers, apparently.
I get really excited.
I know. I could tell. I was like, uh-oh, no, don't do it yet. Don't do it.
Okay, sorry.
So hold on. There's a few things I want to just say here. Take a deep breath.
Do it.
Whoosah. All right. Okay, so something I want to just point out that, Allison kind of touched on there first was the not putting, I don't want to say enough focus on the business, but something I think that most people don't really realize, and it's hard to do, right? It's hard to do, is that if you want your business to replace your full-time income and be a full-time thing, it needs to be your number one priority. If you still care about your 9-to-5 job more than you care about your business, and I'm talking about in your physical actions, okay? So I'm talking about you saying, I'm going to spend 2 hours on my business before work, and then you get invited to a meeting at 7 a.m. and you accept that meeting instead of declining it because you're busy working on your business. If you still do that, you will not go full-time in your business. It will be impossible for you to go full-time in your business. Your business needs to be the number one priority. And that might look like working on your business on your lunch break. That might look like booking out a meeting room and working on your business. If you're in a corporate job, during a hour-long, meeting you've made for yourself. That might look like canceling dinners with your friends or canceling dinners with your family to work on the business. If you want to land a client 90 days, I recommend that you spend 2 hours a day of dedicated time. Okay? And everybody that comes into the VA Accelerator, they know this, right? And before they even come in, I say, okay, so you want to land your first client 90 days? Yes, Rebecca. There's nothing I want more. Okay, there's nothing you want more? There's nothing you want more. So you don't want to go to dinner more than work on your business. So you don't want to stay late at your corporate job more than you want to work on your business. Because that is the number one reason why women do not land clients fast. You cannot work on your business for 15 minutes on Tuesdays and 15 minutes on Thursdays and expect to be making $100,000 in your business. It will not happen. It will not happen. Okay. And if you're listening to me and there's a part of you that's like, it might still happen. Nope. I'm telling you it won't. Okay. I've been in this industry for over a decade. I work with business owners all around the world. I am telling you right now that if you are not prioritizing your VA business above all else, okay, if you need to get a babysitter to watch your kids while you work on your business, right? You got to do it. If you need to now not stay late at your job anymore, you need to do it. And sometimes this is hard because, like Allison said, most women that I work with, if not all of them actually, are women who give 110% or 120% to their corporate jobs or whatever job that they're in, whatever they're doing, right? Not even your job. You're probably a person, same with Allison, who gives 110% to anything that she's doing, right? And it can be really hard to give ourselves permission to say, I'm not going to give 100% at this anymore because I have to give 100% to my business now. I have to, right? You cannot care more about your corporate job and getting promoted. And I've even had women in the program sometimes and they're like, oh, I just really want to get out of my job, Rebecca. So I started applying for other jobs. And I'm like, what? I'm like, if I had a video camera and I was following you around and I knew nothing about your life, and I saw your actions every single day, what would my actions tell you? What would your actions tell me about you, right? And if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is answer work emails, and then you go into work, right? And then your boss asks you to stay late when you had already scheduled working on your business, and you cancel that, and you've already canceled working on your business in the morning, and now all of your coworkers want to go out for after work drinks, and oh, you were going to work on your business after work, but now you're not because now you're going out for drinks. What does that tell me about your priorities? Right? It tells me you don't care about building your VA business. And no matter what you want to tell yourself, that is the reality. Okay, that is the reality. Your actions determine the outcome. You could have the best of intentions and the best thoughts, but until you actually dedicate the time that you need to dedicate, it will not become real for you. So for Allison, even though she was really participating in the program, and I think that this is also a little bit of a shift. Sometimes women come in and they are like rock stars in the program, right? And Allison was like that. Once she came back the second time, like she fully committed, she was doing it, hitting all the deadlines, everything, right? But again, being in the program is different than taking action externally outside of the program. So you could be acing the program, but the second it comes to, okay, I actually have to talk to somebody on a call now, that's a lot of the time, that's where people get tripped up. And that's definitely where Allison got tripped up, right? She would be talking to people and then inviting them to calls. It wasn't not happening, but it kind of wasn't happening. You know what I'm saying? Like it was happening, but it wasn't like, okay, I need to do this, right? You have to dedicate time like your life depends on it. And because it does, because it literally does. If you want to make this your life, it has to be your first priority over everything else. So anyway, as Allison was saying, so let's go back. We'll go back to the story. Allison landed her first client in August. And that client, I believe you were making about $900. Was it $900? $900 US, I believe, from her? Or was it more than that? Was it 1,100?
I think I was making 1,200.
Oh, okay.
To start.
Okay.
Yes.
It kind of fluctuated. That's like a whole other story we definitely don't need to get into.
No.
So I don't have time for.
We do not.
It's a whole other story. Yeah. Okay. So okay. So you started off pretty high with her. So Allison landed her first client $1,200 a month, which is great, which is fantastic. Okay. First client. And especially for Allison, like she was saying, she was doing all these like odd jobs. So that definitely replaced, that got her down to just doing the one paint bar job, right? That's what kind of happened there. So she left all of her other jobs at that point and she was just doing the paint bar job and then had this other VA client, and that was in August. So now let's talk about your dream client. So as you were alluding to, you connected with her and so actually let's just take one step back. Did you ever think that she was going to talk to you?
No.
Yeah.
Never. I didn't even believe that she was the one who was answering me in her Instagram DMs. I really didn't.
So this client that Allison had, I think at the time, 200,000 followers on Instagram? Maybe a little bit less?
Just over 100,000.
Okay. Oh, just over 100,000. So that generally, I usually tell women, and again, everything's nuanced, okay? And this is a perfect example of why everything is nuanced. Generally in the program, I tell people, it's really hard to actually talk to people who have that many followers because they have teams of people most of the time that are actually answering their messages because they're running this big successful business. Obviously, they have all these followers. So when Allison's saying, she wasn't even sure if it was her, like the client that she was actually talking to, that's what she means. She thought that maybe it was a VA that was in her DMs, in Instagram, and things like that. So okay, so let's bring back. So you had connected with her initially and you had invited her to a call and she said yes to getting on a call.
Yes.
Do you remember how you felt in that moment when she said yes to getting on a call with you?
It felt like a joke.
Yeah, like you're being
Like I was like, yeah, okay, okay. And like I remember sending it to you, and like we hadn't officially booked the call yet. She was just like, yeah, we'll get on a call. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like I'm sure she says this to everyone.
like she's
and I'll
just
send
being
her
nice.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll send her an email, and then all of a sudden she won't have time and all this stuff. But anyway, so I was like,
We tell ourselves. The stories we tell ourselves.
right?
Okay.
These narratives, right? So I was just like, okay, I'm like, who knows? Maybe we'll get on a call. It'll be great. And my mindset in that was she just seemed like such a cool person that I wanted to truly be friends with for the rest of my life. That I was like, even if nothing came out of this, like just to talk to her for 30, 45 minutes, like made me so excited. So she had said she would book a call with me, and then we started emailing. So we switched off of Instagram. So I was like, okay, well, if she's emailing me, it should hopefully be her, because like that would be weird.
Right.
And so we emailed her, and then I'd be like, okay, like here's the time I have available. And then it wouldn't work. And then I'd be like, okay. And then it'd be like another week before I heard back from her. And it was just like, okay. And then she
Again,
was like,
narratives, right?
Right?
Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's taking her a week to get back to me. What do we think? Oh, she probably doesn't
Yeah.
even want to be emailing me. I'm
Yeah.
probably being annoying. We tell ourselves all these things.
Exactly, yeah. And
Yeah.
Rebecca always tells us just keep bothering people until they say no. And I'm really good at that. So I was like,
I say
let's
bothering, but yes.
go. Just keep going until they say
Keep
no.
following up
yes.
until you get a no.
Exactly. So it had been a couple weeks, and then she finally went to go book. And then she was like, I went to go book for this week, but you don't have any spots available. And it was just like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, like I'm going to the Dominican this week with like family. It's like, I'm totally checked out. I'm going to have no internet. Like, this is me time. And she was like, oh, okay, message me when you get back. The week went by. The whole time I feel like I was talking to Rebecca on like group calls, and everything was just like, oh my gosh, she's gonna book this call. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And then
well, I think too, you were like, oh no, I messed this up because now I'm going, like, I think you were saying, should I take the call in the Dominican? Like, I don't want to lose out on this like opportunity, which
Yeah.
a lot of us think. So it was just like, no, like you need to maintain your boundaries. Like, this is a trip that you've had planned for a long time. Like, she can book
Yeah.
another week. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
If it's right, and it will happen.
Exactly. So came back and then sent her over my schedule again. And she was like, the only slots you have available in the next month happen to be like the week I'm going to be away on vacation and like I'm going to be gone. And she's like, let's check in next month. So I was just like, okay. And I'm like, but she did say check in next month. And I was like, so she gave me permission and I'm going to do that. So a whole nother month went by. I think this was May, June. I think end of June, beginning of July. And I messaged her back and was like, okay, like, let's get on this call. And she was like, okay, yeah, like, that sounds great. Like, let's book the call. And then I think she also asked me to, like, give her, like, a rundown of, like, my experience and stuff like this. And I straight up panicked. I was just like,
Yeah.
nope, can't do this. Nope. So I literally avoided it for a month. After I just told her, like, yep, like, I'll email you today. Like, don't worry. And, like, just completely ghosted her. Like, stopped commenting on her stuff, everything. I, like, full panic. And I was like, oh, my God. And because I put it off for a week, which then somehow turned into a month. And I started, like, messaging you and being like, she's not going to want me anymore. Like, I'm so unreliable. I told her I was going to email her. And I just remember you being like, I guarantee you she doesn't even realize, like, it's been a month. You're just like, just email her, like nothing happened, there was no lull, and then just like go right back into it. And I did. And she ended up booking a call like 2 days later.
Did you send her a pitch before that? Or no, you sent her the pitch after this first call, right? I think.
So yeah, so first we did a coffee chat.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was my first like call where it wasn't intentional. Like, we knew what we were doing. Like, the very first call I did have with the one lady, like, we were getting on a call to discuss working together. Like, that's what that call was. Like, she knew it. She was looking for someone. Whereas this call, I had just said, like, hey, and I was very honest. I was like, I am just starting my VA business. Part of it is, like, getting on calls with business owners like we, like, love, and then just, like, seeing what your business is about. Like, no pressure. There's no pressure, any, like, I'm not selling you anything, nothing like that. So
Yeah.
my nose started running, sorry. We got on a call and it went so well. And it was like a comfy coffee chat. Like, she was sitting on the floor, like with her laptop on the floor, telling me about her whiteboard that she like tracked things on. Like, this is how great it was. Like, it felt so good. Like, it felt like we were just chatting. It was great. And I had no expectations for the call. Like, I really wanted to just like hear how her business runs, because it is a different type of industry and business and I don't know how it runs. So I was very excited to like hear about it. And then as she was like going through, she herself was like, oh, and this is like something that I kind of like let go to the side. Oh, is that something you could do? Yeah, like I could help you with that. What about that? Like, tell me your goals. And it was just like those little crumbs that I was leaving, not being like, oh, I can definitely do that. This is the experience I have. It was just like, oh, I could help with that.
Yeah.
And by the end of our coffee chat, which was literally what I put out there was, we're just talking. And if the vibe feels right, I'll move to the next steps after that. By the end of the call, she was like, I'm really thinking about like all the things you could help me with. And she's like, I have a VA, but like she's in the Philippines and like my client's in the States. And she's like, she's great and all, but like the time zones never work out. Like, we're never online at the same time. And it's just like, it's a struggle. And I was just like, yeah, like, you know, like you get out of a VA what you pay for. Like, like, you really, really do. And like being in it now, it's like, you do. Like, I've seen the work of $2 an hour VAs to what I get paid. And it's just like, they're not doing what I'm doing. That's for sure. So we got off that call, and that's when I think I sent over my pitch and was just like, we talked about all this on the call. These are all the things that you said you would need support with. I can do all of that. Like, let's do it. Like, let's just do it. And she emailed me back and was like, that sounds great. She's like, that sounds amazing. And I was like, okay. And it's like feeling like her messaging you and just being like, now what?
Yeah, you're like, okay. And then it's just like silence. Like, okay.
I was like, I don't know what to do. And like, I knew she already had that VA. So then I was like, okay, well, like, how does that work and all this? And then she messaged me back and was just like, okay, like, I'm going to give this VA like another month to just like get all of her stuff in order and like get her to organize some stuff. And she was like, yeah, just send me over all your stuff and your contract and all this. And I was very nervous to pitch her the price I wanted to pitch her based on what I knew she was paying her current VA. Mm-hmm. But hearing her call, it's just like, okay, you're paying her that, but like, she clearly isn't supporting you what you actually need support. Like, I think she mostly was just handling Instagram stuff, and I don't even think that was like very well done. Like, it was just very surface level, like, oh, I see a message, let me answer it. So so that's kind of how that happened. And then
so
bing, bang, boom.
So let's just do a quick little recap here. So Allison connected with her, and then months went by of these back and forths trying to get on calls. And then when she ended up getting on the call with the client already had a virtual assistant. And once she spoke with Allison, literally decided within 30 minutes that she was going to let go of that virtual assistant that she'd been working with for a while and bring Allison on. And I want to also just highlight that Allison let her know that she was a brand new virtual assistant, that, you know, she didn't have, you know, she hadn't been a VA for years and years and years and years. But I guess let me ask you this question. Why do you think now, like looking back, why do you think that after that 30-minute call, she had to work with you?
I feel like it's a few different things. I feel like just vibe-wise, we clicked a lot more than her VA and her at the time. Like, she could tell that, like, it was something I was passionate about. Like, it wasn't a job for me. It was just like, this is so cool. I didn't know this was an industry that, like, people actually profited from. And, like, I want to be a part of this. And I feel like I'm a good fit to be a part of this. And then another, like, big thing, I don't know if that's what sold her, but I had mentioned to her, I'm like, I understand that, like, if you were to look at my experience, you may not think that, like, it's enough, But I was saying to her, and I'm just like, I take feedback extremely well. And I'm like, you can tell me something once and it will never happen again. Like, done, change. Like, I will make that change. Like, I take feedback. I love feedback. Please tell me so I can make this change. I remember just like telling her, like, I am a very, like, I take initiative on things. So if I see something, like, I'll just do it and be like, hey, like, look what I created. And like, I figured this could help, or like, you know, like, we're creating this new system. Here are a bunch of like SOPs and all this stuff. And she's like, that's like amazing. And it's just like, yeah, like, I don't need you to hold my hand. And just like, I think her hearing these things was just like, this is a pain point that I'm currently having and I don't want to have to deal with that anymore. And then I also think, like, I offered her a lot of different things when we were starting. So, like, after our coffee chat, we had, like, an actual chat to talk about what we would be working on together. Right. And then after that, we had an hour chat for annual planning. And I don't think anyone had done that with her before. And I remember it's funny looking now because she had this, like, she used to use this huge whiteboard, which she doesn't use anymore, which kind of makes me sad because I love the whiteboard. But she used to have all of her goals up on a whiteboard, like sticky notes and all this. And I remember her just like reading through all these goals, and like, I laughed during our call because she was like, yeah, like, you know, we have like 100,000 followers right now. Like, by the end of next year, like, ideally, maybe we'll have like 250,000 followers. And I like laughed and was just like, you're giving yourself a year for that? And I was like, we're going to have to go revisit this in like 3 months when we've hit that. And I think just like, yeah. And I think just like the vibe of us together, like, just clicked. And it never felt like I was an employee. It was always like, cool, I'm here now. We're doing this together. Like, I'm here for you. Let's go. And it's just like, when we started, it was me, her, and 2 coaches. And here we are in September, a year later, and now we just hit over 500,000 followers, which is insane. Insane. We just had a reel go viral that has 15 million views. Wow. We went from me, the 2 coaches, and then my client, to now me, my client, 8 coaches, and 3 sales team members. Wow. And it's insane. And to me, it's just like, not to say anything, but it's like, I helped with this. It's like, if you still had your other VA, who knows what would have happened?
You know, it's true. Honestly, it is true. And like, you know, I think that sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for those things. Being VAs, being the helpers, sometimes it's hard for us to give ourselves some of that credit. And of course, like, the client is her business and she's leading it and all of that. You 1000% played a big role in where she's gotten to in a year. She probably would have gone there, but just probably not in a year, right? It probably would have taken her much, much, much longer. But because you came in to support her, the business was just able to move so much faster. And just a little side note I do want to say is that, you know, we're talking about Allison's client is sort of kind of like, I don't want to call her an influencer, but she kind of is an influencer. And I don't want anyone out there to think like, okay, I have to work with clients that have 500,000 followers. Most of my students, pretty much all of my students, actually work with clients that usually have between like 200 followers and 5,000 followers, and they're making the same, money and support, doing the same support as Allison is doing. This is just her client. So I don't want you to think like, oh, am I going to have to do social media for a client? No, you don't have to. This is just this is what Allison wanted to do. And that's one of the coolest things about being a VA is you get to choose what you want to do. You get to choose what kind of client you want to work with, what things you're doing for the business, what type of business it is. You get to choose all of that. So yeah, so also something I want to just go over really quickly is the process on landing the client, because I think a lot of people really want to know how to land clients of this level, right? The thing I want to say is it is a process, right? Just like Allison said. So this was a process where Allison found somebody that she really admired and, like she said, truly wanted to be friends with, whether they worked together or not. Started making a connection with her, intentionally becoming a part part of her world, becoming a part of her universe, invited her to a coffee chat conversation where Allison did not try to sell her anything and instead asked her questions that actually kind of sold Allison to her with just the questions she was asking in her mind.
Can I just add that creating that connection before we got on that call, it's so funny because we had a team retreat in May in Texas, and no one knew how I became Hannah's VA. Like, we don't really talk about it. I just appeared, I was here, and then all the new team members came, and we were talking about it, and we always joke that, like, I stalked my client in her DMs for months. In a very polite way, I might add. But
right,
like,
of course.
I just I just kept going. And she was just like, like, I never take these calls. She's like, never. She's like, I do not do these calls. She's like, I don't have time for these calls. And she's like, I don't know what it was about you or your vibe. And she's like, I had to. She's like, I just had to get on a call with you. And so now we always joke that I literally just stalked her into working with me. But it's funny because one of our sales team members is also Canadian, and she did the exact same thing, which is how she got hired by Hannah, because she like continued to just like, and it's like, us Canadians were persistent.
Yeah, it's the strategy, right? And that it really is the client connection strategy where you are making a connection with somebody. And let me also just say that it doesn't have to take 5 months to make this happen, right? This was a elongated time frame here.
Half that was on me.
Right, exactly. So I also just want to say that this happens. You can still do this connections within the span of a month or a few weeks, right? You still can get to that level. So Allison had that initial call, the coffee chat, and then she sent Hannah over her pitch afterwards, going over all the different things that she was thinking she could help her with. Hannah said yes. They got on another call where they actually went deeper into the things that Hannah really needed help with, because that high level coffee chat was more just like getting an overview, a pulse check on the business. The next call that they got on was more like, okay, these are the projects I'm working on in the business. These are the logistics. These are where my biggest problems are right now. This is what I need you to help me with on the day-to-day. And then Allison took all that information and put a custom package together for her and sent that over. And then she said yes. And she actually, even when Allison sent that over, said, in the next few months, I'm actually aiming to pay you like way more than what you're actually asking for. And then they signed on together. And then what Allison was saying, the annual planning session, this is one of my favorite things to do with clients, and I have a whole training on it inside of the VA Accelerator and in VA 365 as well. And it really allows you to see how you can embed yourself in your client's business over the course of the year, right? So that you never feel like you're finishing up your project. What am I going to do next month? Because you've literally planned out your entire year with the client. And when you do that, it allows you to create like next level stability in your business and be able to have that more predictable source of income as well, which is something that a lot of people are always really concerned about. So to that point, do you feel like when I say like people's biggest challenge is like, or one of their biggest fears, they're not going to have a stable, predictable income, what would you say to somebody who is in that sort of mindset?
I would say it definitely depends on your client. I will say that if it's an actually good client, then it is very predictable, and you know what's happening. Like, you understand, like the temperature check, and it's like, okay, no, everything feels good. Nothing's left unsaid. Like, we're partners in this. It feels good. Yeah, and I do feel that way. I also have had clients who don't take their business as seriously, and it fell into that thing again where it's like, I was caring more about your business than they were. And there was no respect to contracts. There was no respect towards anything. And, for me, it's like I did kind of settle with her and I should have left earlier, but it was one of those, but I like the extra, and the other thing, we went from $1,200 to, I think in the last 2 months I worked with her, I was making $300 a month or something ridiculous. And it's like, and all of these changes were done one day before, and it's like, here's what we're changing. And it's like, but that was, to me, the big difference that I really saw was working with a company that was kind of an agency. I feel like I would say about her, she had her business and she looked after clients, and then she hired people to look after her clients.
Right.
So
she wasn't really an ideal client.
Yes, exactly. So what happened with her is like seeing it now, it's like that makes sense. This is why you shouldn't work with these people because this is what's going to happen. But seeing my dream client, it's like there is no way I could see her doing that. And if there was some catastrophic issue in her business and for some reason it all crumbled down, like I still feel like it would at least be like, here's 2 months, like I'm sorry. I don't think she would ever just like call me tomorrow and be like, never mind, like we're cutting half of your hours. So yeah, that to your point, it's like it is so important to find ideal clients that actually need your support and not clients that just need a space filler for support that they have.
Yeah.
And just like, knowing your value in that. And it's like when I first started with both of them, it was like, it felt on the same level. And then all of a sudden it went from same level to dream clients up here and the other clients way down here. And it's just like, I don't understand though, because I'm doing a good job, but it had nothing to do about me. It was her business failing and her struggles, and I got the crap end of the stick. So in point to that, like having good ideal clients like who treat you as business partners, I feel like is a very safe thing, and I feel very safe in what I make, and it's not just going to change on the drop of a dime. Whereas clients that aren't a good fit treat you like you're not a good fit.
Right.
And I've seen that now.
It's a personal thing too, right? Like not like you were doing anything wrong, but like you said, like Hannah, your dream client, like really wanted to work with you because of who you are. And you were not just a placeholder. She valued you. And it's like we were saying in the beginning of this conversation, when you were in your old job, it's like you just wanted to feel valued. Yeah, for the work you were doing, but also as like a human. Most times with clients that are not good clients, they just don't value you. They see you as a dispensable part of their business. They just see you as somebody they're paying, and they're not actually working with you because of that deeper level connection. And that ultimately, it carries into your business as well as a VA. It really carries into your business, and you start realizing, like Allison was saying, I wanted to create a life of my own design. I wanted to be valued for what I was doing. All of a sudden you wake up and you're looking at, these bad clients around you, and you're like, I don't feel valued. I don't feel like I'm creating a life of my own design. My rate isn't up to me. They're changing things when they're really not supposed to, but we didn't want to push back on it. It's a whole other story again. But it's just like, again, this is where most women give up. Right? Because they're just like, okay, a lot of women just find only lower paying clients, and they don't know how to find the higher ones or how to make those connections with people, and they end up just quitting their business altogether. So I know in the beginning, there was a lot of, like we were saying, we had a lot of mindset things that we were going through from you personally, but there was also, I remember, a lot of employee mindset as well. And especially in the way like you were saying specific things, right? And I remember it was always like, no, Allison, you're working with someone, not for someone. I'm working with my clients, not for my clients, right? And it would always be this like ongoing joke. What were some moments when you're looking back now where you sort of caught yourself slipping into that employee mindset in your clients' businesses, if you can remember any times?
So kind of like two sides to this. So that mindset was very apparent near the end of working with one client, where it's like there was a point where where I started it's like I could have as many boundaries as I want to be like, we are partners in this, but at the end of the day, I was not a partner. I was an employee to her. Like I was hired by her. That was it. Yeah. With my dream client, it's just like my pay is vastly different than what the sales team structure pay is or the coach's pay is. And
speaking of your rate, I don't think we've gone over this. So when you first started working with your dream client, what did she start you at, and what are you at now?
We started at 2,000 US. I'm pretty sure that was in October.
Yeah.
And
October 2024.
2024. Yeah. And currently, right now, I am getting paid 3,500 US a month from her.
Awesome. Congratulations.
And potentially more in the future because we are expanding again.
Right.
And we'll be taking on it's nice because I always get the choice. I get offered, like, what is this something that you would like to, be a part of and take the initiative and roll with this? And yeah, like that is the big difference between those two clients is like, I never felt like a partner in the other client's business. I felt like an employee. And the way she spoke to us, I was an employee, and I can speak to my dream client and talk to her and just be like, I'm so glad that like you and I are partners in this and like we're building this together. And there's never like, whoa, like this is my business. Like what, like there's none of that. Like it feels so good. And then also just like hearing from the team, like they also see me as a business partner. Like they don't see me as like hired by her to do this specific role. It's just like, I am the business. Like, obviously she's the business, like it's her business, but you know what I mean? It's like the team now is just like, I am the skeleton that the business sits on.
Right.
And it's just like, without me, it is a pile of jello on the floor. Like, and it's just like, it's so cool to hear. And it's just like, again, that mindset where it's like the first couple times I heard it is just like, yeah, okay, like, you all are just lovely people and coaches, and this is how you talk to people. And now, like, almost a year in when they say it, it's just like, ooh, like, my mindset has changed so much that it's like, before when they would say it, it was very, like, I was very closed off. It was like, yeah, whatever you say, like, nope, like, I'm not letting that soak in because that's not true. And now when they say it, it's just like, you're right. I am the skeleton of the business. And it's just like, it's so cool. And it's just like, I genuinely feel valued and like potentially looking for other clients, like not to get rid of her, but to like add on just like a smaller client. It's just like, I now have such a high standard of like the people I am willing to work with, not necessarily the people that like I want to work with, but that I'm going to allow to work with me. And like, it's really cool. It really is.
I love this confidence. And let's just say Allison has not always had this confidence. So let's just talk about that for a second. I have noticed, and all of the other women that have been in the program with us for a while, we always say like, wow, like it's crazy just being on these calls with you now because, again, remember earlier back in this conversation, we were talking about how Allison, when she started was going through all this really hard stuff in her life. And you've navigated so much, right? Like you've been a single mom, you've been working through, like it's an ongoing process, like really, really, really horrible trauma, like the most traumatic trauma there is, and you've been working on rebuilding your life. And I think the biggest change we've seen, everybody's seen in you, has been like a personal change. And even though you are a business owner making this money for your business, you've been running, like you have been bringing in the most money in a year you've ever made in your life in the last year fully from your business, which is just crazy. And I think that, yes, while I could take all of the credit, I'm not going to, because some of that credit's yours, but also I think some of that credit is from your client, your dream client.
Totally.
And so how has that relationship with your dream client and being a part of that business, how do you feel like that has changed things for you personally?
That's a good question. I think it really benefits me working with the type of women that I'm working with. So, I have access to 8 amazing coaches who specialize in so many different things and are just so loving and kind and open. So I now have this community that I've never had before. And it's just like, there's no judgment, there's no nothing. And it's like, I could go on and be angry for an hour. And they're just like, that's okay. Like, let me hold you in this. And now let's figure out, now what do we do? Where, like, you can't, like, I can talk to them about things that, like, you can't talk to people about in a business. Like, in a standard office space. Like, it is not okay. Like, HR violations across the board. It's not okay. But it's so nice to just like find this community of women that like I knew existed, but I never felt like I was worthy enough to be a part of. And now it's like, shit, I am worthy. And it's really cool. And it's just like, being around that energy more than like the energy of like, this is your job. And just that, blah feeling.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's like I have had so much support from them because of the type of work they do. And like,
Yeah.
if I worked with someone else, I don't think I would be in the same position as I am right now. And it's just like being able to have access to that kind of community is amazing. And yeah, like it's crazy to me how much I've grown and that I see it and that other people see it. And it's just like, not only the change and seeing it, but like recognizing the patterns as it happens now is like so cool. And it's just like, feel like an adult. I mean, I am an adult, but it's like, I've struggled.
Allison has 2 kids, okay? Allison's an adult. Just, we've been referencing her not being a teenager, and now she's saying, I am an adult, so I just want to be clear. She is, in fact, an adult.
I just turned 32 and have 2 children.
There you go.
I am an adult.
You are an adult.
But I don't know, I've always struggled with that mindset of being like, what is an adult? I'm not an adult. Like,
yeah.
And now it's just like, I am an adult. It's like, and now we have to deal with things. And yeah, like it's made such a big change. And yeah, like I love being able to work through things now. Whereas before it was like, I would just react to everything. And now it's just like, ooh, give me a second and let me respond to that. And just like allowing myself to not get sucked into these negative self-talk vortexes, which would last weeks. And now is just like, okay, 15 minutes. I'm allowed to be upset. I'm allowed to be frustrated. This is a totally okay thing. But now I need to stop and do what I still need to do. It's just like, I am not a teenager. I don't get to spiral for days and days and days. It's like, okay, spiral. How am I going to fix this now?
Yeah.
Like, just working with them has really helped me grow as a person. It's crazy what can change when you find clients that like value you and like truly want you there. It's just like such a big difference. It's just like, I don't ever dread going online and doing what I need to do. I don't dread when someone asks for help. It's not like, oh, they're coming to me again. It's just like, yeah, man, like, let me help you. I can do this. Like, it's no big deal. And it's just like, I don't know, feeling all that love and just appreciation and like being acknowledged for what I do is just unmatched. It's so cool.
Yeah. So Allison helps me with some of my messaging as well. So Allison kind of has like a little side client too. So she helps me with some of my messaging because she's really good at it. So maybe some of you listening to this podcast have actually chatted with her via text. Usually if you book a call with me, Allison's my first line of confirming your call and just making sure that you're in the right place and getting all of that done. So, you know, if you've ever talked to somebody named Allison, either on Instagram or on my texts, then it's her. This is her. And like I said, that video of her kind of went a little mini viral for me when we found out that she landed her dream client. I just happened to be online. I don't get to have that experience with really like anybody because we're all in different time zones and things. So to have that happen real time was just very exciting.
Yeah, I think I called you like the second I got off the call. It was like, answer.
Yeah, you were just like messaging me on Slack. I'm like, what is Allison doing? I was actually in another meeting at the time with Chrissy, and I'm like, Allison just keeps calling me, and then she's like, oh my god, I just landed my dream client. I was like,
that's crazy.
And it was so exciting. So I want to ask you a few more questions. We're almost done here. Thank you so much. This has been so amazing and so helpful. I know Allison was a little bit nervous, but everybody's nervous before they come on these, and then we always just have the best conversations.
Yes.
It's going to help so many people. I'm so excited for everybody to hear it. So what are you most proud of right now in your business?
Like right this second, or like
right
overall?
this very second? No, right this very second.
That's a good question. I would say continuing to do it and showing up every day. I feel like that is like a big thing for me, to like hold myself accountable for things. And in this, it is very important. And yeah, and I think just like keeping myself accountable, but doing it in a way that like works for me. So it's just like trying to stay on top of things. And it's like, I do so much, and you know, I'm handling over 140 students a month and all of the other work I do, and it was just like so many different suggestions on how to stay on top of things. And it's like, I know you and I talked about like time blocking in my calendar and all that. And it's just like seeing all that stuff in my calendar made me so overwhelmed that I just wanted to stop. Like I was just like, nope, like I don't want to do this. Like I started this so I could have the freedom. I don't want to see it in my calendar at 3 and know I have to do it at 3. So I'm proud that like I have taken what you've taught us and modified it now in a way that works for me. So like personally, I use just a spreadsheet and I have daily tasks and I list my daily tasks and they have little check boxes and it does not matter. Like I put them in order of importance. But it's like, it does not matter when I do it as long as these check boxes are done by the end of the day when I get off, everything is good. So just like, I don't know, like I'm proud of myself for just taking what I've learned, but adapting it to me and what feels good for me and like not being embarrassed about it or like, that's not the right word, but like ashamed that like, I'm not doing it the same way as everyone else. Like I'm doing it this way. And it's like, but it's so basic and simple. And it's like, and I do have to keep track of so much stuff that it's like, I need basic. And like, I'm just so proud that I keep showing up.
Does things. Everyone does things in a different way. And I think that this is a great sort of like loop back around to what I was talking about earlier about having that radical responsibility of your own business and your own results, because that is a perfect example, right? There are so many ways, trust me, there are so many ways to manage your time. And there are so many experts and so many gurus. Oh, this is the best way, or this is the best way, or that, right? Like you said, right? Having the understanding of, I think for me, because I do this a lot too, where I like absorb so much information and I'm like, okay, this is all great, but like, what's going to work for me? And I think for a while in my life, I did that, but I didn't really understand what made the original thing work so well that when I would try to do something for myself, it just wouldn't work, right? Because I'd be like, oh, I don't like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something completely different. But I didn't understand why that worked and why what I was doing wasn't working. And I think that that's kind of like when you and I were going through that conversation, that's kind of what we were doing, right? Is like, okay, you know, what about the time blocking does work for you? If there is anything that works, okay, well, having maybe everything you need to do in that day somewhere that works. Okay, great. Okay, so let's take that piece and now, you know, what sort of format is going to be best for you, right? And like to your point, I think that a lot of people feel like there is always a right way and a wrong way, and there isn't. There's only your way, right? Like there's your way. And sure, when it comes to like a strategy, is there a proper way to execute the strategy? Yeah, from a baseline, but again, you can always finesse things to work for you. The best strategy is one that you stick to and the one that works for you. And I've just seen that time and time again. And I've even had women in the program who are like kind of like nervous to tell me they're doing something because maybe it's not exactly what I teach in the program. And in those instances, I always say, tell me what you're doing because I can show you what to keep of that and what to maybe throw away from whatever you're doing, right? So that we can actually make something that works for you instead of something that you're just doing that's not working because you want to do it. Does that make sense? You know, so it's
totally,
it's that balance. Okay. So I love this. So let's do one last question. Okay. One last question. So maybe we should do two last questions. Okay, first thing I want to say is, what would you say to somebody who is, you know, where you were like 2 years ago? What would you say to somebody who feels stuck kind of in like that survival mode? They know that they need to get out, but maybe they don't see the exact way yet. Maybe they've tried to do something and they've you know, failed, they've like ghosted or whatever. Want to say to them, what do you want them to know?
I always joke about it, but I definitely live my life based on it. There is a video of Shia LaBeouf just screaming, just do it. And like anytime that I'm struggling or like I'm like, I don't want to do this, I will put it on. I don't know if it's because there's a toxic man yelling at me or if it's Shia LaBeouf yelling at me, but like it always to me now is like, just do it. Like, just do it. What is stopping you? Like, and also like, if you don't just do it, where are you? Like, you're just staying where you are and you're not happy. So like, what's the worst that's going to happen by you just doing it? And the other thing is like, it can be messy. Like things are messy. Like it doesn't need to be perfect and it's not going to be perfect, but it's like showing up and doing something is like so important. And I think a lot of people, I know for me, like when I first started, my mindset was, well, I either have to do it 100% or it's not effective. It's either 100% or the 80% I give you isn't good enough. And
Right.
the biggest thing I've learned is, like in this last year, is showing up for yourself isn't 100% every day. No one has 100% every day. So if maybe one day you show up and it's 25%, but the next day you show up at 100%, maybe the next day you show up at 80%, that's okay. But like, you need to show up for you, because no one else is going to make this change other than you. And it's like, your job's not going to change. The job's going to stay the same. This career is going to stay the same. Your life will stay the same, and you're going to be miserable. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Just do it. I love
Just
that.
do it.
I love that. You know, actually, funny you said that. So I don't know if this is actually a real thing or if it was just like a parody thing on Instagram, but I saw this ad and it was like Nike rewrote all their ads for like the anxious generation. And because, you know, their tagline was just do it.
Yeah.
But now everybody is like, so like, you know, like hyperventilating when they think about doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So they did this different angle, and Tyler, the creator, narrates it. And I love Tyler, the creator. He narrates it and it's like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. And the whole thing is like, you don't have to run that marathon. You don't have to do this. But when you hear that, you're like, but like, I want to, you know, like if you're a marathon runner, like you want to run the marathon. So it's like, instead of saying like, just do it, I just thought it was so interesting. I saw it last night. I'm like, this is really interesting because it's kind of like reverse psychology, right? It's like, you don't have to do it.
It makes you want to do it more.
If you don't, right? And what's going to happen if you don't? Like you were just saying, it's like, you know, I think for a lot of people who are in sort of that place of feel just so like, I don't want to put this on you that you felt like a failure, but let's say a lot of people feel like, especially after that first time of you coming in the program, thinking like, okay, I tried to do this and I didn't do it. I didn't give it my 100%. So I've failed now and I'm not going to be able to do it. And I think to get out of that place, you do kind of have to go back to exactly what you were saying of like, how do you want your life to look? You know, I know for me, like when I was starting my business and I had challenges, even in this business, I'm trying to grow this business, my mentorship business, and there's challenges every single day. And the thing that keeps driving me forward is just like, I want so badly to become the woman I know I was always meant to become. And I'm not at that yet, and I can't stop now until I get there, because now I've just made so much progress towards where I want to be that it's just like the point of no return now. And I think that even when I was just starting, it was like, yeah, I could not do this. I could just stay in a corporate job. I could just do what everybody else is doing. I could just buy a house and get married and have a car and just retire at 65. I could do all of that, right? But I would never know the person that I wanted to be, right? Like in my mind, I knew I was made for more than that. And if I didn't go for it, I knew that my entire life I would be constantly kicking myself. And I knew that the older I got, the harder it would be, right? I knew that every year that went by and every year I told myself it's not the right time or it's not for me, I knew that it would be harder for me down the road because I was already experiencing that even in just a short period of time, right? So, okay, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, one last question before we go. Okay. What does freedom look like and feel like for you today?
Terrible. No, it's really cool. At first, it was definitely something to get used to because it was like, oh, well, I can decide when I do everything. And then it like quickly realized like, oh, it's not necessarily like I still have these commitments and things still need to get done. But it's so nice because I can like message my client and be like, hey, I'm going to be on today in the morning. I'm taking the afternoon off to go get a pedicure or manicure because I deserve it because I kicked butt this week. And she's like, yes, like get it. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, and like tonight I'll like finish up Instagram. It's like, no big deal. It's like, as long as all of my tasks get done in a day, it does not matter when it gets done for her, which is so lovely. Obviously there's like certain things that have to be done at certain times, but yeah, it's just so nice. Like the other day I took my daughter to a concert on a Thursday night and like worked half a day on Thursday, went to this concert, had a great time, got picked up by Spider-Man, almost left my husband. And then it's like, but then on the Friday, it's like I slept in and was able to do that. And I started my day at noon and like, it was fine. Like everything was okay. And like, I only work Monday to Friday. I do not work weekends, but I also understand that like, I can't just continually take full days off. So it is a compromise too on me. It's like, okay, I need Monday off. And I know Mondays are like our big days because that means there was just 2 days that no one was handling Instagram. So like, I do have to be flexible. So for sometimes where it's like, okay, I know I have plans Sunday and Monday. It's just like, okay, I'm going to work on the Saturday, but I'm going to be off Sunday, Monday. So then that way everything still shifts. Or like if things come up, it's just like, it is what it is. But still having like those boundaries to be like, I'm not available 24/7. And that feels good because I feel like at every other job, you have to be available 24/7. It's like, no, you need to answer this message because I need to know if you're going to be able to do this tomorrow. Where it's like, I can as long as like everything I need to do in the day gets done, like I can work whatever I want. Like I can take the days off I need and I can
it's like the choice, right? It's like the freedom of choice. And I think I think a lot of times when people start their business, they think of freedom in a little bit of what's the word? You know, it's a very like, what is the word? You know, it's like this dream like state, right? They're like, oh, I think of this freedom. I'm never gonna have to work. I'm gonna be able to do every
let
day,
me go to the pool.
I want.
Yeah, like let me go to the pool. Let me
work all day, right?
Computers
like,
do not work in the sun. Do not work in the sun on your computer.
Don't take it to the pool. Don't take it to the beach. Trust me. I'm still blowing sand out of my keyboard from being in Mexico for so long. But I think what the biggest thing that being an entrepreneur really gives you is that freedom of choice. You get to choose what you do. You get to choose who you work with, where you work, when you work. And of course, there are deadlines. It's a business, right? Like you're not, doing anything that you don't still have to work. Being a VA is an active, thing that you're building. It's a business that you're building, but you get to choose what that actually looks like for you, right? Like you get to choose how much money you make. You get to choose how much you work. You get to choose when you work, where you work, all of that. And I think that you, especially being a mom, having that freedom to, when your kids are sick or they're home and you need to go and pick them up from school, like sometimes it's even just those little things, right? Like if you were working in a corporate job, like you wouldn't be able to leave. Or if you did leave, I know in my corporate job, and I was definitely one of these people, I'm not going to lie to you and say I wasn't, there would be moms in my corporate job and they would leave work at 3 p.m. every day to go pick up their kids. And was there a little bit of resentment there for me because I don't have kids? 100% there was, because I'd be like, I work every day till 7 and like you are leaving at 3 to go and pick up your kids. Now, a lot of them did work later on in the evening, but still, right? Like I could never just leave at 3, for anything. And it's just like, I used to feel like they're so lucky they get to do that because they have kids to go pick up, right? Which is such like a weird thing to think.
It's like people who smoke. It's like, how come you get 4 hours of breaks a day and I get 15 minutes?
Right. And it's actually funny because somebody that I know recently, she works at the TTC, which is like the subway in Toronto. And she was saying, she just recently started smoking again. And she used to smoke way back in the day. And I'm like, what? I saw her and I'm like, are you smoking again? And like, I was trying not to be judgmental, but I was 100% judging her. I'm like, girl, come on. Like, this is so bad for you. Yeah. And like, we stopped this a long time ago. Like, what are you doing? And she's like, Rebecca, like, it's the only time I get a break is when I go out to smoke. And she's like, if I don't smoke, I literally have to worry. So it's just, and it's these little things where it's like, why do you have to smoke to get a break? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why do you have to have kids to be able to get off at 3 once in a while, right? It's like, now you actually have that freedom to choose what you do with your time. And I know for me, that was like the biggest thing.
Another big part for me, just quickly, for like the freedom part is I do have a bunch of chronic illnesses. So for me, it's like, when I was struggling some days, like I had to give up a full day's worth of pay because like maybe
cleaning.
Exactly. And it's like, which would flare everything out. And then I'm losing out all this money. And it's just like, now it's like, if I am struggling and I can't get out of bed for the day, it's like, I can sit in bed and work. Like my fingers still work.
Yeah.
And if my fingers don't work, I can do voice to text. Like I could,
or you can take the day off and it's not a big deal, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not like, oh, you can't do this. Or it's just like, hey, like that's totally cool. Like maybe you can just handle Instagram today. And it's just like, yeah, I can do that. Like if I can sit in bed and watch something, I can sit in bed and send resources. So it's nice having that freedom to be like not nervous to be like, oh no, like I am having a bad day and like I am struggling with this flare up. Whereas before, like I would call and it's like, you call in once a month and it's like, yes, my chronic illness hasn't gone anywhere.
Right.
It's like, and I'm still working, or I would try to work through it, which would flare up things even worse. And then I'm off for a week. And then it's, oh my God, am I going to get fired? Like legally they can't fire me, but people still do that. And it's like, I don't have any of those fears anymore. And it's so nice. Like, it's just like, ooh. And I mean, I'm not obviously working a very physical job anymore, so I don't get as many flare-ups, but it's like, I wonder if like all of that stress and like that worry, like
100% it caused things. Yeah, 100% it did. 100% it did. Okay, well, on that note, Allison, thank you so much for joining me on the Right Hand Revolution today. You did an amazing job. There's nothing to be nervous about. This was a fantastic episode. Yes. I can't wait to get this one up. And I think you said your next goal, usually I ask what's your next goal. So your next goal is to land a smaller client, and we are going to start working on that soon in our Land Your Next Client Challenge coming up in VA 365.
Yes.
So I'm very excited because I have no doubts that you are just going to land another amazingly aligned client, especially with all this experience that you've had.
Heck yes.
Okay, on that note, I will let you go. Thank you so much, Allison, for being here and for sharing your story. I know this is just going to help so many women. I know you were a little bit nervous, but I think this was great. I think it went really well, and I really appreciate your time. Anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. Yeah, I guess the only thing I want to say is if you are thinking about it, to just do it. Just do it.
Just
honestly,
do
like it is a complete life changer. And if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. 100%. All right, on that note, thank you so much, Allison, and I will see you at our group mentoring call on Wednesday.